Hey everybody, and welcome to Alan's Bonsai. So today I'm going to work on this Neea, and right now we're just looking at the trunk, but it's very long and leggy. Neas grow very quickly, but they don't thicken quickly. So this guy has really overgrown, and if we try to pan back, which means I lose my black background, at least a little of it, you'll see it's in a very small pot, and it's been drying out. So I'm going to chop the top, remove a lot of the excess branching, try to create your typical bonsai form with much fewer branches. Plus I'm going to put it into a different pot. So I have 3 pots that I'm looking at, and normally when I'm about to pot a plant I just sort of eyeball it. So I put this pot up here like this and then see how that works, and that would probably work. Then I have this pot here, which I'm already eyeballing it, that it's just way too big. It's just too big. Especially since one of the rules of bonsai is that the thickness of the trunk should equal the depth of the pot. And I'm certainly not averse to over-potting my trees, especially if they're prone to start drying out. But this one's way too big. And I think the one that I'm going to settle on is this one right here. This is a blue glazed pot, much like the one it's in, but it's quite a bit bigger, and if we pan out, I think that'll make a real nice tree. Be in much better proportion. It's certainly still deeper than the trunk is thick, but I think it'll work to keep the tree from drying out, give it some more root space, because I do believe the tree is a little bit root bound. It's almost impossible to tell from just looking at it, but I think that's part of the problem for why it's drying out. So there's the pot I'm going to use. But first I'm going to cut the top as I bang the pots together. So this tree has a very nice, oops, let's knock the camera around too. This tree has a very nice curve. And a lot of times when I'm trying to create taper, I would cut to say, see if I can hide everything with my fingers. Cut to say this guy here, which, can you even see that? It doesn't look like it. But I actually like the gentle curve of the trunk instead of this branch here that I was thinking of using. Has a little bit too much angularity. So I'm going to take that branch off right away. And right away, woo, the whole thing's coming with. Right away, that cleans it up tremendously. And then, as in a lot of my other videos, I just need to do a haircut on this guy. So just going to do the haircut. And this is just the preliminary haircut. I may be doing more. Get to the top here. And cut some more of that out. Okay. Come over here to this side. Cut some of this out. And right away, even with just a little bit of a haircut, it's looking a whole lot better. Oops, we got a renegade. We can get to, there we go. Okay. So I'm thinking of keeping these lower branches, even though they may not be part of the design. But we still have a branch right here. It's coming right towards us, which is not visually pleasing. So I'm going to take that off too. And then I think I'm going to take this one off too. I've got a lot of branches that are sort of just hanging. Get rid of them. Now this branch here I think is in good position, but I'm going to make it more horizontal. I've got another 2 branches right here that are parallel branches. And this one is pretty close to this guy. And normally when you're choosing, if you're going to take a branch off and you've got a choice of 2, you cut the big one off, because over time the big one can just get too big. Save the little guy. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this guy off here. Oops, sorry. That other growth got in the way. And get rid of that branch. Okay, so now it's taking shape. We got a few more, oh, there's a renegade. I got a few more back branches here. You notice how this side is almost sparse and this still has a lot of growth here. So I probably don't need this one. And got 2 back branches, but I think for now I'm going to leave those, just see what happens. And then I'm going to take, doesn't want to chop, take my branches I'm going to keep. I'm going to shorten some of this. I want this to be the leader here. And right now it's more like this is the leader. So I'm going to cut this guy here and then shorten this guy in the back and shorten these guys. And once again, if you're looking at this and saying, wow, that's pretty drastic. No, it is. But it's basically what I call the skeletonization. So this tree grew without really ever having this work done on it. So it's actually going to benefit it tremendously. Now this lower branch, that's Blanche. Sorry. Sometimes my enunciation sucks. So if you want to put on closed captions, then you can actually read what I'm actually saying instead of the mumbling that I do. Trying to be better. I'm gonna leave this one long and lanky. It probably, if we look at the tree now, this guy here probably really has nothing to do with the design of the tree. But I'm gonna leave it for now. I always cut it back later. And actually that's looking pretty good now. I'm happy with that. And once again, visually, this is still a little weighted back here. Got these 2 back branches. And I don't know, I guess I will cut this one off. Alright, there we go. So now we've got a really nice skeleton, much less foliage. And once I put it into the pot, it should, the drying should be alleviated. Okay, so the potting process is a whole nother deal. So I am going to stop the video right here and then prepare the pot and then get ready to pot it up when I set the video going again. Okay, so now for the repotting. And I just don't understand. I think it's just that my camera's horrible. So please, if you could become a patron, I will take your donations and buy better equipment. Because this is just horrible. I'm trying to enunciate the best I can, but then when I play the videos, it's just mumbling, and I just don't get it. Anyway, besides that, you may be looking at this tree and thinking, well, aren't these 2 branches also parallel branches coming out of the trunk at virtually the same place? And yes, that is true, but what we can do is take this branch here and take it to the back like that, and take this branch here and bring it forward. So right now I'm just trying to rejuvenate it. So I'm just going to put it in a pot and wait to do a major root pruning and also that wiring and the other work that it needs in the spring. Because right now I think it is fall. I think today is the first day of fall, or close. Now look at this guy's roots. It's so thin. No wonder the thing was drying out. So, pop that thing out of this pot. Get this pot ready here that we're going to put it in. Okay. And I've covered the drain holes with a little bit of macrame screen, and then a little bit of wire that you bend over to hold it into place. And I'm just going to sit this guy straight in the pot, about like that. Actually, now typically when you're repotting a tree, you want the trunk to be about 1/3 from one side and 2/3 from the other side. That gives it a little more pleasing look. And you notice if I put it over here, then the tree, it's already moving this way, so it just looks like it's growing out of the pot. So this is going to be a much better placement for the tree in the pot. Already looks better. And then the soil that it's in right now is just a landscape mix, and so I am going to continue with just using a landscape mix. So just stick it in there, and then next spring when I do the major work on it, I will decide whether I want to put it into bonsai soil. You can use landscape mix for a while, but landscape mix has the tendency to degrade and turn to mush, and then you have problems with the roots. And some of you may be saying, well, that's maybe why it's drying out. This is true. Could be. Enunciate better. Well, that was easy, huh? Now normally when I repot a plant, I don't make a mound, okay? So if we look at it like this, there's really no mound of the soil. However, most bonsai do have a mound, but I let that occur naturally. As the tree grows and the roots fill the pot, it will begin to produce a mound. And because if you try to make a mound prematurely, all that soil is just going to wash away because there are no roots to keep that soil into place. And I also try to leave a gap so that the soil is not right up to the top of the pot, so that when it gets watered, the water just doesn't drain off the pot. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now let's see how it looks as a whole. That looks pretty good. Now this pot is a little too big. However, we're going to get growth, okay? We're going to have trees going to be out to here and, you know, up higher. And so I think that's a pretty good pot. I seem to be getting a lot of glare from the black background. I thought using black would work, but somehow I'm getting this weird glare. So I need to improve my production so much. So I know I sound like a beggar, but if you could please become a patron, I will take your donations and try to improve the quality of my videos. So now this tree is going to get a good watering. I'm going to put it in the shade, and since it's fall, it'll grow some, and since I didn't root prune it, it's really not going to stress that much. And then when I start to see new growth, I will give it just a touch of fertilizer, because once again we're going into fall. Even though this is a tropical tree, it prefers to just keep growing all year. So a little bit of fertilizer will be part of the process. And that's about it for today. So, you know, the before and after, from an incredibly overgrown plant in way too small of a pot to a tree that now is, I think it's going to be, I think this pot's going to work well for this tree once it's all filled out. And once again, I'm going to take this branch and bend it backwards, and then take this branch and bring it forwards, and then they won't look like parallel branches like they're right above each other, which they look like now. And then other than that, you know, we bring this branch down when we wire and work on the apex. But I'm pretty happy with this result. So please leave a comment, good or bad. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I will be doing upgrade videos on all the trees I'm working on initially. So if you subscribe and ring the bell notification, then you'll know when I put a new video out, and you'll be able to watch my trees develop over time. Because this guy right now is pretty sparse, but in a year or two it could really be nice and thick and full. You know, my whole philosophy on bonsai is to create pads of foliage, nice and thick. And obviously this is nothing, you can't call that a pad of foliage. But once it gets a pad of foliage, oops, sorry, and everything grows in and fills out, I think this is going to be a pretty decent tree. So thank you so much for watching. Once again, comment, like, subscribe, and please, if you can afford it, become a patron. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to take the very first money I get from my patrons, and I'm going to buy better equipment. And I'm also going to try to stop mumbling, and I'm sorry for that. Maybe I need to just dub it, do the video with no sound whatsoever, and then go inside and use a microphone. I don't really know. If you have any suggestions for me how to make that better, please leave a comment. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Alan's Bonsai, and I will see you in the next video.